Episode 9, The Lie She Told Herself.
Pre-launch, diagnostic, truth verification. Technical note. Every system on the shuttle must be verified against its expected parameters. What the engineers think is true about the shuttle must match what is actually true. Assumptions are not acceptable. Guesses are not acceptable. The truth, verified, measured, confirmed, is the only acceptable input. Launching on false information is launching toward catastrophe.
For 31 years, Champion Washington had told herself a story. It went like this. Geneva Washington was a saint, a 17-year-old track star who got pregnant, gave up her dreams, and raised her daughter alone with grace and dignity and unflinching strength. She was the crawler. The vehicle that carried Champion to the launchpad even though it cost her everything. David, Champion had never learned his last name, Geneva refused to speak it, was a coward, a 20-year-old college boy who got a high school girl pregnant and ran. He was the abandonment, the absence, the reason Champion grew up without a father and Geneva grew up too fast. This story had rules. Geneva equals hero. David equals villain. Champion equals the burden that destroyed one and was ignored by the other. It was a simple story, a clean story. It was the story that let Champion survive. But Geneva's journal, 11 pages in, had just set it on fire. Champion sat on her bathroom floor for 20 minutes before she could stand. She went back to the kitchen, picked up the journal, read the next entry. Geneva's handwriting, steadier now. March 3rd, 1988. David called today. Loretta answered, told him I was sleeping. I wasn't sleeping. I was sitting 3 feet away listening to my mother lie for me. He's called 6 times since Champion was born. I haven't answered once. Loretta thinks I'm punishing him. I'm not. I'm protecting myself, because if I hear his voice, I'll have to hear the pity in it, the relief, the thank God it's not my problem anymore that I know is living underneath whatever apology he's practiced. So I let Loretta be the wall. And I tell myself it's because he doesn't deserve to talk to me. But the truth? I'm afraid if I hear his voice, I'll ask him to come back. And he'll say no, and that will be worse than the silence. Champion felt her chest tighten. Wait, he called 6 times? The story, her story, the one she'd carried for 3 decades, said David disappeared, abandoned them, never looked back. But Geneva's journal said he called 6 times in the first 3 weeks, and Geneva didn't answer. Champion flipped forward, scanned entries, stopped on one dated April 1988. Geneva's handwriting, angry slashes now, April 22nd, 1988. A letter came today, from David. I didn't open it. I put it in the kitchen drawer under the dish towels where Loretta won't find it and I won't have to look at it every time I walk past. I know what it says. I'm sorry. I want to help. I want to be there. All the things he should have said before he left. All the things that don't matter now. Because what does being sorry fix? What does wanting to help accomplish when I'm the one getting up every 2 hours to feed her and change her and rock her back to sleep while he's at Fort Valley State finishing his junior year like nothing happened? He doesn't get to want to be there. He gets to live with not being there. The way I have to live with him not being there? It's fair. It's symmetrical. It's just, I hope it destroys him the way it's destroying me. I hope every time he sees a baby, he thinks of the one he'll never meet. I hope. God, I'm so tired. Champion won't stop crying. She cries for 3 hours straight and nothing I do helps and Loretta just sits there watching me fail and I want to scream at both of them. At Champion for needing me. At Loretta for watching me drown. At David for not being here to take a turn. But I can't scream at anyone. So I just hold her and cry with her and hope she's too young to remember this. Hope she never knows her mother was 17 and terrified and so angry she could taste metal. I put the letter in the drawer. I'll open it someday. When I'm not so angry. When I can read it without wanting to burn it. When I'm strong enough to forgive him for being human. But not today. Not this year. Maybe not ever. Champion put the journal down again. Stood up, paced her kitchen. Stopped at the window, stared out at the Atlanta skyline and felt the story. Her story, the one she'd built her entire identity around, start to crack. David didn't just disappear. He called, he wrote, and Geneva, her mother, her hero, her crawler, refused to answer, refused to open the letters, refused to let him be there, and then spent the next 31 years letting Champion believe he'd abandoned them. Champion felt something she hadn't expected. Rage, not at David, at Geneva. She picked up her phone, called Loretta again. "He called," Champion said when her grandmother answered. 6 times in the first 3 weeks, and Geneva didn't answer. "She lied to me." "I know. You knew and you didn't tell me?" "It wasn't my story to tell." "That's not good enough. I spent 31 years hating a man who tried to be there and you let me." "Because your mama asked me to. And when your child asks you to protect them, you do it, even when it hurts someone else." "It hurt me." Loretta said, "I know, and I'm sorry. But Geneva was drowning, and I had to choose between protecting her and protecting you. I chose her, because she was my daughter and she needed me." "What about what I needed?" "You needed a mother who could function. And if I told you the truth about David, Geneva would have fallen apart. So I kept the secret, and I'd do it again." Champion hung up, threw her phone on the couch, walked back to the kitchen, stood over the journal, and thought, "Everything I know is a lie. Everything." She picked up the journal again and kept reading, because the truth, however much it hurt, was better than living in a story that had never been real. The journal had 183 pages. Champion read all of them in one sitting. It took her 9 hours. She read about Geneva's first year with Champion, about the exhaustion, the loneliness, the way Geneva felt like she was failing every single day. She read about David's letters, 11 of them in the first year alone, all unopened, all stored in that kitchen drawer. She read about the checks David sent, $80 every 2 weeks, his work-study wages, all of them, none of them cashed. She read about the time David drove down to Miami when Champion was 2 years old, how he stood outside the house for an hour, how Geneva watched from the window and didn't open the door, how he finally left. She read about Geneva's guilt, page after page of it, the knowledge that she was making a choice every single day to keep Champion from her father, the rationalization, the anger, the fear. She read about Ernest, how Geneva met him, how he became the father David never got to be, how Geneva felt both grateful and guilty about that. She read about the day Champion asked about her father at age 7, how Geneva lied, said she didn't remember his last name, how Champion had looked at her like she knew it was a lie. She read about Geneva's cancer diagnosis, December 2018, stage 4, pancreatic, the doctor saying 6 months, maybe a year. She read about Geneva's decision to stop treatment, January 2019. She was tired, she was done. And then she read the final entry, February 12, 2019. 2 days before Geneva died, Geneva's handwriting, barely legible now, shaking from weakness or morphine or both, February 12, 2019. Champion came to visit today. She brought soup I couldn't eat and magazines I can't focus on and her presence, which is the only thing that helps. She doesn't know she's the only thing that helps. She thinks I need the soup. I let her think that. We talked about her job, her apartment, the guy she's been seeing. Terrence, I think? I can't keep them straight anymore. We didn't talk about what's happening to my body. We didn't talk about the fact that I'm dying. We didn't talk about David. We never talk about David. Because 31 years ago, I made a choice. I decided it was easier to let her hate a ghost than to explain that I pushed him away. I decided it was simpler to be the saint and make him the villain than to admit we were both just kids who made terrible decisions under impossible pressure. I decided she didn't need to know about the letters I never opened, the checks I never cashed, the voicemails I deleted without listening, the entire decade he spent trying before he finally stopped. I decided she needed a clean story, hero mother, villain father, champion daughter who survived despite the odds, and now I'm dying and that story is all she has. And I don't know if I'm brave enough to tell her the truth, because what if she hates me for it? What if she realizes I'm not the crawler I let her believe I was? What if she sees me as what I actually am? A 17-year-old girl who was so ashamed and so angry that she burned down every bridge David tried to build. What if the truth makes her love me less? I don't think I can die knowing she loves a lie more than she'd love the truth. But I'm running out of time to find out. Dr. Marcus says I have maybe 2 weeks. I have one more treatment scheduled, but I'm not going. I'm done. I'm so tired, champion. I've been tired for 31 years. I love you. I'm sorry. I hope you understand. I hope you forgive me. I hope you find the box when you're ready. I hope you're strong enough for the truth. I hope you're launched high enough to see the whole earth. Because from the ground, baby girl, we all looked like we knew what we were doing. But from orbit, you'll see we were just children. And maybe that will help you forgive us. Both of us. The entry ended there. Champion sat in her kitchen with tears running down her face and her hands shaking and her entire understanding of her life rearranging itself like furniture in an earthquake. Geneva didn't just refuse David's calls. She refused a decade of calls, letters, checks, voicemails, an entire decade of a man trying to be present and being blocked, and then Geneva died and took the truth with her. Except she didn't. She left the box. When you're ready. Champion looked at the kitchen clock. 4:23 a.m. She was not ready, but she picked up her phone anyway and Googled David Fort Valley State University, 1987. Nothing useful. David Pre-Law, Fort Valley, 1988. Nothing. She needed more. She went back to the journal, flipped to the entry about the letter. I put it in the kitchen drawer under the dish towels. That was April 1988, 32 years ago, the house on Alibaba Avenue. Champion grabbed her keys. Coming up in episode 10, The Letters.